Recording now. So everybody, welcome to our video chat. We're going to do a video chat for this one because my internet connection is unstable. Oh, fuck you. I don't care. Because we are... Okay, so I got a friend request from a young lady today, and I didn't know who she was. And so when I get a friend request, I automatically go and start looking because we put out that ad for the Black Alternative Collective, and we've been getting lots and lots of responses from girls who are interested and or just curious to know what this is all about. And if they are not like social media savvy, they just want to give us support. So I assumed that that's what this was when I got this one, and I believe her name is Zakia. Let me make sure that I do not butcher this girl's name because that would be very bad. Her name is Zakari. Zakari. Gorgeous girl. She's originally from the North Bay. She's from San Francisco area, but now she lives in
Cali. Girl, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's from the same state.
Mm-hmm. And now she's here in LA. All these girls that are hitting us up lately are from LA.
And it's good to have local talent, and we need this local talent.
Yep.
So we can easily meet up in person to really have that one-on-one relationship.
Yep, to coordinate and to just really get our shit together as far as this is concerned. So I accepted her friend request, and I went on her page. You know, I'm being nosy, looking around and trying to get a feel of who she is. And one of the first posts I see, and I'm thinking maybe this is from like weeks ago or something, is this chick named Teresa Is it Teresa Roberts? Yeah, I think it's Teresa Roberts. I thought it was Daniels at first, but let me try it one more time.
You look a hot ass mess, like a stack of boiled peeled potatoes that's been sitting out on the counter for like 12 days.
Seriously, backwoods, this one. Okay, so her name, and I'm going to put it on the website so y'all can see it too, because this is like ridiculous. Her name is... It's Teresa something, and I know because my mama's name is Teresa. Okay, her name is... This bitch. I'm sorry. I'm just heated right now.
And those damn eyebrows.
Teresa Roberts.
And what she's doing there, she's a hot ass mess.
Oh, she don't put any of her pictures public. She didn't put any of her pictures public right away.
If I look like her, I wouldn't either.
I had to dig for it. I had to dig for this one. So her name is Teresa Roberts, and she's on Facebook, and I'm gonna put her link up on the website so y'all can do whatever so you can troll her if you want to, or set her straight. And I'm gonna send her a link to this video too, so she gonna hear about herself. Anyway, this young lady was a little pissed, as she should be, because this chick was like talking shit. She said, what's the issue with the photo that you commented on? She said, oh, nothing. I wasn't referring to you. She's like, okay, obviously. She's like, what's wrong with the photo? She's like, well, I don't think Black people should be goth. Just my opinion.
I hate when people say that, but they want to stretch their ears, use scarification, tattoo, Haitian and African voodoo synonyms on it for aesthetics, but yet you saying Black people cannot be goth, but you sure taking West African elements and incorporating into your fucking culture, which you gonna exclude us from it. Think that about a bitch.
I mean, the thing that kills me the most and I don't, because I've been around it for so long, I'm not really as insulted as I used to be by it. In the beginning, I wasn't insulted by it either until I started learning a little bit more and learning about how it affects us. Dreadfalls and locks and cyber locks and all that stuff, you know, because of our subculture, for me now it's not a big deal, but right. They need to understand that you are appropriating someone else's culture and you don't know shit about it.
And you're borrowing elements from Bantu, Congolese things, Haitians, but you're saying African Americans cannot partake in a subculture, but yet you're borrowing from us to make yourself look more edgy. Mm-hmm. Get the fuck out of here. Get the entire fuck out of here. This is why I just laugh at it. This is why this shit does not bother me. Because you can't tell me I cannot be Black and alternative, but yet you're borrowing things from my culture to make yourself look edgy.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, the stretching of the ears alone. I mean, the gauges and the jewelry
Oh
and all that
yes.
stuff. All of that is just homage to African culture. And
Especially scarification. It was tribal. They mean something spiritually. But let somebody else tell you it came from the goddamn Vikings.
no,
You
no, no,
hear
no.
that?
Let's set that shit straight right now. It did not come from the Vikings. The Vikings were meticulous about their hair. So yes, they would plait it up into little braids and they would cover it in clay. That shit was not locks. I don't give a fuck what they say. They need to check their culture and their references because for us, when we came on, oh, I'm sorry, for our people, when we came here in slave ships, our hair naturally went like that. So when they put us up on the slave blocks for auctions, white women used to talk about how her hair was dreadful because it was in those big fat dreads. That's how the term dreads got started. So they need to check their history. That's not Viking, baby.
And right, and they say it's unwashed matted hair. Our hair was not matted. It is soft. It is healthy in those locks. We don't have to put soap and rub our hair together and just to make it matte. No, it's not matte. It's just locked up and it's healthy and it's well maintained
Yeah.
versus theirs that smell like shit half the time.
Now I will give it to some people will take some white people will take care of their locks
Yes, yes,
and will
absolutely.
will wash and use beeswax and do whatever they need to make sure their locks are looking nice. But those are the people that are usually Rastafarian or
Yes.
usually have some sort of culture that is,
And
already
they have some
based.
type of knowledge of
Hmm.
it, not people who let their hair grow mold and algae in it. That's just nasty. That's nasty as hell.
So we're gonna off track. So let's get back to this whole Black Goth thing. Okay. There is, and it's very rare for me to come across that. It's usually people who aren't saying it in my face. Um, and because
Mm-hmm.
they won't.
They
And
for sure won't.
they'll be racist in your face, but they won't say it. Well, no, they still, I don't know. I'm
They
still,
scary as hell. You know damn well that in 2017 they will not be racist in your face because you know why? We'll clap the fuck back and they want to be. Oh no no! I was just no no no. You're not playing.
no,
You're
well,
not kidding.
now that Trump is president, of course they're going to say all that. Now they're more emboldened to say that stuff. Now they're hiding it behind, everybody being PC. I
Yes,
got
but as
into
soon as you say something, you're bullying.
it. Hmm.
Oh, you offended me. You checked me. I'm being bullied. I'm triggered. Well,
Cry your white tears,
they
please.
salty as hell too.
I mean, I was actually talking to somebody about this morning. That was the first conversation I had this morning with this guy named Tony, and I'll post the chat there because I needed some receipts for this shit. He was, clapping back about LGBTQ people not being complaining because they weren't being represented in the new Star Wars movie. I haven't seen the new Star Wars movie yet, and
I've been so busy. Honestly, I'm a Star Wars fan, and I didn't even know what was going on. I'm behind.
we'll catch up. We'll catch up. First of all, we need to see Black Panther. That's
Oh,
that's that's it. That's all first. But he was talking about how people they just want to complain about everything and all this other stuff, and I'm like, you know what, dude? I've been sitting here listening to your rhetoric for a while now, and I don't agree with all your views sometimes. I said, but you need to understand that social justice warriors, we exist for a reason. And we're not just for people of color. We're not just for women. We're not just for gay rights. I'm like, there's social justice warriors didn't exist, then fat people couldn't work without being discriminated against. People who were old couldn't get a job without being discriminated against. That it's just it's like that narrow-minded, like straight white male bullshit that they are on right now. And it's just like, oh, woe is me and all this and discrimination, and I've been discriminated against and I get pulled over all the time. I'm like, dude, you get pulled over because you look like a scary white dude. You look like a fucking biker. That's why you get pulled over. You don't look like your normal everyday clean cut American white guy. So yeah, you're going to get fucked with. And because of that, you should be a little bit more empathetic to the fact that people are not necessarily living your experiences, but that they do exist for you. That's the shit that really pisses me off right now. They're not understanding that yes, just because you are marginalized in some areas, I'm fucking marginalized all the time. I'm a I'm a
right.
fat black goth girl in California, and alternative. I mean, just like there's so many different things and on so many different levels that can be discriminated against. I'm sorry, if you put a suit on, people won't fuck with you.
That
So,
is very true. And even though I don't support a lot of social justice warriors, some of them are very problematic. Some of them
mhm,
are racist. Some of the girls, they make other women look bad, but they have done some good as bringing awareness. Now there's different types of models. They're being, put in the spotlight like natural hair, plus size. Back then, they'll tell you you need to straighten your hair. Now they're
mhm,
being shared on Instagram. They're getting these deals. Brands are noticing them. I like that.
mhm,
It's bringing more people opportunities. But then again, there's also its downside. There's your people who complain about every fucking
mhm.
thing, but it has done a lot of good for us.
Yeah,
And Model Mayhem was the major outlet for models back then. I don't know if you remember this, but a lot of them were turning away a lot of people, and they were assholes. Now there's other outlets now that they're searching for models, and Model Mayhem is not the standard anymore, which is
thank
a good
God.
thing.
Yeah, and I think that I mean Instagram is perfect for that, and that's one of the reasons
Yes,
why I'm focusing so hard on that right now and building our network and talking with these as many models as possible. Some of them are I want to stay along the alternative line, like we talked about earlier. Stay away from mainstream, and one of the things we were talking about earlier is um, certain certain classes of black people feeling excluded from what we're doing. Hip hop models that we don't admit them to the collective because hip hop models are mainstream. I mean, you see them. That is how we're portrayed all the time anyway. So
yes,
why do
and
I
they're
need?
the standard and they're easily booked. I mean, I can if I run an ad right now for a hip hop model, it'll be easy. For alternative girl, it'll be much harder for a black girl to get booked. That's why we need more of us in the front than a hip hop model. They have so many resources where they can pull from. But
Mhm.
us, what resources we have? We barely have one. We barely have one.
Barely, yeah. I mean, we're gonna do our research and find out if more. And if you guys know of any more resources for alternative models that we're not seeing, shoot them our way. You know how to get to the our Facebook page is the Black Alternative Collective, and if you are on Facebook, it's the BLKALT cult. So once you join, you are part of our cult, and we are going to indoctrinate you. Um, but yeah, there's just way too. I mean, the last thing I need to see, and this is a problem where I'm having with a lot of alternative models too that are of color, is that they are relying on their body, like they're relying on their ass shots, they're relying on those things because they feel like, and it's been proven that that's what sells, and
Yes.
that's not, and that shouldn't be what your foot is on. You need to be thinking outside the box. You need to be thinking of of you need to be conceptualizing great editorials. I mean, look to our white sisters if you need to pull some
Right. But look
inspiration.
at this though. This is a gothic beauty magazine. And guess what? Not one African American models in here, but you find Asian, Latina, everyone else but us.
I'm gonna have
Now
to
what's the name?
well, okay, so this is what we talked about a few years ago on the group. Is that yes, although that's very underrepresented and all that stuff, they finally did have one black model on the cover. She's and but here's a caveat: they lightened her skin.
Oh my
So you weren't
goodness.
really sure who she is, and then just so you look her up, her name is Dolly Vicious, gorgeous
Oh, I
girl.
like Dolly Vicious.
She was
Yes,
on the
Dolly
cover of
Vicious.
Gothic Beauty magazine, and this was after what 12, 15 years of it being in publication that there was actually someone on the cover, and she's not that light, and she looked racially ambiguous.
And that should not be happening. We should not be, our skin tone should not be tampered with. I may not be the darkest skin tone. If I was, I wouldn't want somebody to lighten me to something that I'm not. It's very disrespectful.
I
That's
need
why
to.
we need to happen. This is why the collective exists, because we can speak up for these issues so these people won't think it's okay. If you have no one speaking up, if you have no one just saying, oh well, then they're gonna do what the fuck they want. If you're gonna tell them, hey, this is not right, we're gonna listen if you have enough girls. then they finally take it serious.
Hmm. And I mean, even if we have to slow and go and start with only two or three people, I mean,
They
aren't you and I
better.
included? We're going to do it, and eventually it will catch on momentum, and people will start to realize that they've been sleeping on us for a long time. And
Especially we help create this culture, like I was saying earlier. They were borrowing elements from, our ancestral cultures as in voodoo and all these other Asian practices, but yet they're excluding us, which is not fair.
mhm.
And, like I said, dreadlocks, they like to put in their hair and, make spin-offs or cyberlocks, but they don't want African American models. That's kind of strange to me. But yeah, you have a white model wearing dreadlocks, but you don't want a black girl with dreadlocks.
Yeah. And then
It's
they
the
sit
same
there.
title.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And then they sit there and they say stuff like, well, I look like this all the time. I'm like,
Yep,
well,
it's
yeah,
called
you're not losing jobs over this being your natural state.
exactly.
You're not being discriminated against because of this being your natural state. All you have to do is make your hair look normal, dress normal, and you fit back into society without a blip on the radar. We don't
Exactly.
have that option. This is us. This is us 24/7. And then I hear that argument where, well, you wear fake hair or you wear wigs and weaves and all that stuff. That is the
Cultural
standard.
assimilation is not
Right.
the same of cultural appropriation. We had to do
Exactly.
it,
We
or else we're
had
not
to.
gonna make no fucking money. There's a difference.
Hmm.
Nobody, is trying to straighten your hair to look white. It's because you know what? Our hairstyles are unprofessional. Our
Yeah.
natural state is called, okay, if you do not straighten your
Unkempt.
hair, we're gonna fire your ass. That's what we're being told out here.
Yeah. And they did that shit in the military too. And that's why they had to
They
change
did it on
the.
a cruise ship,
Yeah.
Norwegian cruise line. They told us we cannot wear dreads or braids.
Hmm. And the military had to change their standards because for a long time the only thing that black women could do is they could wear their hair short, cut, and cropped. They could wear their hair under a wig,
Mm.
or what was the other one? I have to look it up. But the standards changed and now they have broadened it. You couldn't wear an afro. You couldn't wear individual braids if they were a certain type. Those things are, if for those women who want to wear their hair and who choose to wear their hair in a natural state, they're still discriminated against. I mean, they
Even at
actually.
schools, our
Hmm.
hair is considered a distraction. When I was growing up, I went to a predominantly Hispanic school. My hair was considered a distraction, but yeah, a white skinned Hispanic Latino person would come to school with a goddamn mohawk and not be told anything.
And
But yet,
that's
my
okay.
hair is a distraction.
Hmm. Double, all these double standards for the things that we do. So yeah, if okay, so we can't wear our hair naturally and be accepted in society. So some people go that route. I personally choose to do whatever I want to with my hair. I will wear my hair naturally. I will wear it in a wig. I will wear it in a weave. I will do whatever I want. I'm not ashamed of my hair.
Mm-hmm.
My hair is actually very long, but it's also very sensitive. And that's another thing that people don't understand about African American hair. African American hair is very fragile. And if you do certain things to it, it
Yeah,
will fall out. I mean, so yeah,
like
sometimes we,
bleaching.
yes.
That's why some women wear wigs and weaves because that's color and all these wild hairstyles because we're damn smart. We don't want our hair frying and falling out because of the consistent bleaching. We're smart. We're saving our hair. We're protecting our hair versus a Caucasian girl who constantly bleaches their hair until it looks like nothing.
Cotton, what is it, cotton candy? Cotton candy consistency.
Yes.
Hey, we'll be fine in the post apocalypse.
Oh yeah, we'll be fine.
But yeah, this is just something that these are just some of the things that African American women that are alternative have to go through. And I know a lot of you guys can sit there and you can agree with us and stuff like that. But to hear someone tell me that I shouldn't be part of a subculture because I'm black is really fucked up. Because to be quite honest, a lot of goth people are in this whole scene because they are around a collective group of people who have been
Who share
marginalized.
similar interests.
Right, and who've been marginalized in school. They grew up socially awkward. They grew up, not really fitting in, and so now they
Yes.
found a
They're
space.
also into horror, poetry, or something else that wasn't considered popular. But you
Mhm.
have someone else excluding people, saying that, hey, they can't join. I'm like, you cannot tell people what they cannot do. Who made you the leader of, the goth community? You
Yeah.
cannot say Black people can join when you're borrowing elements from African culture into
Mhm.
your subculture. That's totally bullshit.
Yeah, and then even just the other portions of it, not just them borrowing stuff from us, but let's just take drag queen culture. The way that a lot of goth women wear their makeup is very over the top. It's very dramatic. It's very all
Yes.
that. You get that from gay men. Who do you get? Who gay men get that from? Black women.
Black women.
That's who they get it from. So you are still emulating us, even though you don't know it. So have some fucking respect. Don't sit there
And
and
let
tell
them
me.
tell it. A Viking done it. But let just ask them, was Chuck Berry a damn Viking? I don't think so. He didn't look like
Yes,
no
let's
fucking Viking to me.
let's just talk about the music for a second too. Because yes, goth was derivative of punk culture. Punk culture was derivative of rock and roll is derivative of black American rock and roll. Look at Elvis Presley taking riffs from other people. There's a lot of music that is inspired by African American artists and has translated down over time. And even still today, your industrial artists, don't think these motherfuckers weren't sitting up here listening to hip hop as teens, because
And also
Chris.
you had house music,
Mhm.
which was, made popular by African Americans as well. And they forget that this is why, representation matters. I mean, like I said, African Americans made rock with what it is now. It
Mhm.
came from them. But yet our people are being erased from different subcultures, and now they think rock is predominantly white, which is bullshit and disrespectful.
We
Very
also need to start
disrespectful.
taking a little bit of responsibility though, because a lot of
Yes.
us have allowed this to
Allow
happen.
this to happen. And this
Um,
is what I said. African Americans need to stop contributing to erasure and become more educated where rock and roll came from. How can you say your own Black people is acting white, but the culture came from your own people? You are making yourself look bad. And you complain about the Cash Me Outside girl. And what's that other girl's name that just that weird ass girl who talks with a black accent and says she's a Black woman? You cannot complain about these people when you're out here doing the same thing in reverse.
you're not appreciating where you
Right? You're
came
not
from.
appreciating your own culture until somebody else has it.
Yeah, and let's not even take culture aside. Let's just talk about self-esteem
Mm-hmm.
and fucking having some backbone and being just proud of who you are as a person, and letting someone and allowing someone to dictate what space you're in is just fucked up in general.
Right?
So if people are telling you you don't belong somewhere, and who can tell you that
Ain't
unless
nobody
someone
gonna tell me shit, and that's what younger African American people need to understand. That's getting into these subcultures. You cannot be soft on this. You
mm-mm,
cannot let other people tell you that you cannot be part of a culture that your own people had helped start. Fuck
mm-mm,
that. You're not telling me shit. I wish you would tell me I cannot be a part of something in my face. I'll tell you to get the fuck on.
mm-mm. And don't
I've
think I'm
been
not
like
going
this
and don't think I'm
forever.
not going to let everybody know that you told me that.
Hmm.
Because my friend Mina, she told me like a few weeks ago when we were talking about this. She's a she's a BDSM dom. She does professional dominatrix work, and club owners have actually told her that she needs to work with girls that are skinnier and who are lighter, and that they don't, that there's certain things that they don't want to be done at their club. I'm gonna have her tell her who it is too, because she told me she would tell me on privately and everything. But here in this space, we don't keep names quiet. We don't keep any of that stuff quiet. It's time for everyone to start realizing what's really going on in this subculture. And with all of the women who are coming to talk to me and talk to you about being part of this collective, most of them are from Los Angeles. And I'm
Yes.
thinking to myself, how do I not know you? I've been around for 23 years, 24, 23 plus. How do I not know you? Maybe we've passed each other in a club every once in a while.
Probably.
But seriously, these days, it's still like a handful of us in these clubs. A handful. Because you just don't feel comfortable going there. I feel comfortable because I've been there for so long and I know people and no one can fuck with me. But, there are girls that aren't as strong as
I
you and I
understand
are.
that, and not everyone can be as strong as us, and I totally understand. People have different personalities. There are, girls, when they see black women, they start talking shit or they'll stare at you. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a lot of the bullshit comes from our own people. I've seen a lot of black men, seen a lot of other African American girls. Like, what the
Haters.
fuck are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, and I get that to a certain extent. And the reason why this happens is because, and this is just from my own personal experience, when I first started going to clubs, every white person that I knew, not everyone, I'm generalizing, but most of them, whenever another black man would come into the scene or to the space, they were always trying to hook us up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is ooh, there's someone else like you. Let's come over here, and you need to be like them.
Right. That is so
And
totally the token shit. Can't
it's
stand it.
right. And it's not that I'm against it, but I have my own tastes and I have my own preferences. And I don't need you to just, when you see another black person, to automatically bring them over to me like, ooh, someone like you here. You guys need to be friends, or you guys need to be
And that's
together.
these people's places to be doing that. And this is why more people need to have backbone to put these people in their place. This happens all the time on Vampire Freaks. You have a lot of people that's comfortable talking a lot of shit about black people and saying what we can and cannot do, and nobody's checking them.
Hmm.
When you don't have anybody checking them, they think it's okay. I don't care if they claim that you're bullying them, they need to be checked.
They
If
really
you're getting
do.
checked, you're not being bullied. Period. Let's get that straight.
If
If
you
your
can tell.
ass say something stupid and somebody calls you out on it, you're not being bullied at all.
No, I mean, he was like to sit up here and talk about how I have the right to free speech. And yes, everybody has the right to free speech. You can say whatever the fuck you want. But the problem is you need to be able to handle whatever consequences come from that. If that means I'm about to tell you the fuck off because you said some stupid racist shit, I'm gonna tell you the fuck off because you said some stupid racist shit. Same thing with misogyny. Same thing with anything. If you're sitting here talking about being able-bodied and you're having a problem with someone who's disabled, I'm gonna check you on it. I don't care about this whole thing. So yeah, you have the right to say whatever the fuck you want, and I have the right to react however the fuck I want. It doesn't
Right.
mean I'm gonna put my hands on you, because I'm not going to do that unless you swing at me first, or you put me in a position where I'm fearful. I mean, where I feel like I need to defend myself. But I will tell you exactly what you mean and what I mean and how I feel. And if you can't handle that, then shut your fucking mouth.
Right. And this is why I said more people coming into the subculture, they need to have some type of backbone. This is how they're getting chased off these websites, like I said, just like Vampire Freaks and other social media outlets for alternative folks.
Mm-hmm.
Before, it used to be a lot of them. Now it's only what 5 or 6 black members left
Mm-hmm.
because they were chased off. I'm gonna tell you something. Nobody can chase me off anywhere. You say something stupid to me, I'm coming for your ass. I don't care who you know or how many friends you have on that website. Which you will not do is disrespect me.
Because they're not going to stand up for you in public.
They right. They surely won't. And a lot of them do live local and they're dumb enough to put their employer on their profiles. Go right ahead and say something stupid because I will take that ass and I'll screenshot you and I'll tell your employer, well, okay, this is how your employee really feels. That's why you got to be careful what you say
Mm-hmm.
online.
Yep.
Don't post nothing that you really want anyone to find out about, period. It's responsibility.
So, Teresa, we're coming for you.
Exactly. It's talking about what
We
black
are
people cannot do.
coming for you. Hopefully, you were smart enough. No, well, yeah, I think she put something else on there as her employer, but I'm coming for her. I know she lives in Northern California. So,
What, Fresno?
yeah,
No,
Fresno or something like Central
lady,
California.
listen, Fresno talking about what black folks cannot do. And Fresno is a very heavily African American populated working class
But not alternative.
place. Exactly.
That's the only thing. Is it?
Right.
And I mean, and I will admit, a lot of our subculture, African American alternative girls are not as strong and as tough as they could be or should be. And it's in those cases when you have those instances where you are feeling unsure and you're feeling scared and stuff like that, you need to be able to reach out to a network of other women of color, and not just black women, but other women of color who will support you. And you have to rely on your white allies. There are so many white people in there in these clubs that will stand up for you and fight for
Exactly.
you.
Not everybody is bad,
No.
but you also have other people of color they're out here throwing the racism too. Especially like I'm on Vampire Freaks. The people who left me bad comments were Asian and Middle Eastern. And I said, and I looked at them, you know what? Fuck you. But a lot of the white allies came up to me like, hey, you shut the fuck up, Leah. You can't talk to her like that. Who the hell you think you are?
And if you're on Facebook and you're getting hassled by people, I'm gonna give y'all a suggestion for white allies. If you need somebody some help for whatever it is that you're going through, it's called white nonsense roundup. Just at put the little at symbol in front of the name and just put white nonsense roundup. Make sure whatever post it is public, so that they will come to you, your aid, and they will speak for you, especially if you just don't feel like explaining shit, because there are a lot of
Exactly.
people.
And one thing I want to say is I noticed the people who being trolled that are black and alternative, especially women, there are attractive women being trolled by older women who have low self-esteem and issues.
They're
I looked through
jealous.
his profile. These women feel upset with their own lives,
Hmm.
so they take it out on younger women, especially women of color. So you have to understand these women have mental illness here, and that is not your problem. You didn't do anything wrong. Those
Hmm.
are these women's problem. These older women, these older, often Caucasian women, will get very upset at young black women.
They're jealous. They
They're
want.
very jealous and they're used to being the standard of beauty, but they're
Hmm.
not. And they're getting their power and privilege taken from them
Hmm.
as they
Time,
should.
times are changing. They're.
Times are changing. This ain't the 90s where the pale face goth was the standard.
Hmm.
Things are changing.
And they will continue to change. I mean, you women have to understand. I tell my daughter this all the time. Your physical attributes that are natural for you, women are paying good money for. Women are
Right.
paying for your lips. Women are paying for the waist that you have naturally. Women are paying thousands of dollars to have an ass like you do. It comes
But the
naturally to
problem
you.
is they're trying to erase this in the process,
Hmm.
like burlesque. I seen that article talking about now black women are discovering burlesque. That's bullshit fucking shit. Black women have always been burlesque,
They've heard of
but for
Josephine
some
Baker,
reason,
right?
the erasure of black women has happened off burlesque. Now all you see is Dita Fontees. I'm gonna tell you, African American women, Dita Fontees is not the first woman that was out here doing this. Please check history.
And
Can ask your grandparents.
they know this though.
They know this,
They
but
know
you know,
this. They
it's
just
the laziness.
they know this is just not popular, and
Right.
what they want to do is they want to emulate the headrunners in these subcultures. They want to look like Zeta aunties, but there are a lot of women right now that are amazing. If you go on Facebook right now, one of my girlfriends, her name is Natasha. She is an amazing like pinup model. She's got that whole vintage look on lock, and she's black, and I believe she's Brazilian too. And she's always got her natural hair. I mean, there, if you go to Heidi Calvert, she's a photographer here in Los Angeles. She does a lot of pinup shoots and a lot of burlesque type shoots and vintage type stuff for pinup girl clothing. Um, and she is all inclusive, size, color, gender, and she has the most varied portfolio that I've ever seen. And she will showcase women that are doing it right. There are a lot. If you are into the pinup subculture and burlesque and all of that, you need to be following her on Instagram. Her name is Heidi, Heidi Calvert, and she's a white girl, but she understands. She's getting to understand what's going on in our culture, and she's speaking up about it, and
Right.
she's not shy to
Right.
showcase it.
And that is true. We do have allies out here. There's even allies that are on YouTube that are Caucasian women. They had said, you know what? I've
Hmm.
seen a lot of beautiful black alternative models are in women, but they're being excluded. There's a race problem. There are a lot of people acknowledging that there are people who are discriminating other
Hmm.
people from coming in. And I noticed the people that are doing the most talking are not even goth or alternative, but they want to sit there and say, "But you ain't."
Yep. They want to
It's
they
the
want to
damn
dictate it
truth.
because they're so used to seeing a certain standard that they don't know anything different. And so that's why we're here. We're here to change that, and
Exactly.
we're going to continue to work on it, and we're going to continue to put those. We're going to continue to put these issues out. And I know right now for our first two episodes and stuff, it sounds like we're just talking shit about whatever. But we've gone through years and years and years and years of this, and this is our first opportunity to like actually get it out.
Right. And
So,
people need to understand what is really going on. And like I said on the previous show, that a lot of models, they use Black women as stepping stones and dispose of
mhm,
them. We have done their hair, gave them ideas. Actually, a lot of them have looked through our MySpace profile, start taking our style and using it in their photo shoots. And I seen it. I seen a lot of alternative Black girls' images get stolen
mhm.
for someone else, and nobody knows this because you know why? Nobody knows we exist.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. And if you don't care, that's fine. Say you
Exactly.
don't care, but don't hide it behind like some, oh, this is just not the standard. No, I don't fucking care. I like this white girl. I don't like you. Be yourself and be 100 and say that shit. I would have a lot more respect for people if they were just like, I just don't like how black women look as goths. Okay, fine. You don't have to talk
Then
to
look,
me.
keep it moving. Ain't nobody give a fuck about you.
Exactly. But don't
That's
sit here
not
and
going
tell
to
me I
stop
don't belong.
anybody from, doing what they doing. That's what they don't understand. I feel like they saying all this shit because, they don't like Black women getting attention.
Mm-hmm. Because they
They're
know that they're drawing
jealous.
attention away from the people that they are interested in. And it
Oh,
just happens,
fucking well.
especially
Deal
right
with it.
now, especially right now with the climate changing and all of these interracial relationships coming to pass, and it's becoming more and more popular, more and more acceptable for white men to be dating black women. That is like, whew, oh my God, and now it's kind of filtering over into our subculture. I had the hardest time dating when I was starting out in the subculture because one, people didn't know what to do with me. They thought I was part of the stereotype, even though I don't present myself as a typical black woman. They still don't know what to expect. They're still scared of me because they do know that when I get upset and when I get angry, natural instincts take into place. It's just like when it comes to being Latina in the community, when they're looked at as spicy and hard to handle. Like, you need to handle them. You don't need to handle anybody. You just need to be with the person that you're going to be with. So these women are really starting to get scared because more and more black women come into the scene and they do things a different way and they portray themselves in a different light and they add another element that a lot of people didn't know that they were missing. And
Right.
once you introduce that element to an equation or you introduce that new spice into a dish, people are like, oh wow. I mean, I get women all the time like, my God, girl, you are so fucking gorgeous. Your skin is flawless. You don't look 40 years old. Yeah, bitch, I'm 40. I'm about to be 41. you know, there are certain things that we have that they don't. And I'm not saying that we are better than them. I'm just saying it's a difference.
It
And there's
surely is.
and
And
there's nothing
times are
wrong with it.
changing. And that's what people need to understand. Also, other Black people, please stop talking shit,
Mm-hmm.
talking about people act
Please.
like, because you're not helping. You are not helping this cause. You are not helping your people. You're holding us backwards when you're doing shit like that. And you wonder why the erasure of rock and roll has happened, because people like you let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of talking shit, support them, share, support, and get the word out. Stop excluding people.
Mm-hmm. So this is kind of going to segue into the next thing we're going to talk about because um, a couple weeks ago, these young men were on the Black and African American Goth page that I moderate for and I run, and one of them was showcasing his style, and it was really he was cute. He had
Oh,
his
I seen it.
he
I
had his
did look.
style going on, and I was like, oh, you go ahead, Pharrell, because that's basically what he reminded me of was Pharrell, and nothing bad about Pharrell. Pharrell has some major style, going on with a little bit of edge to him because he's goth. And then another dude came on a couple days later and posted some same pictures, or maybe he didn't post the same picture style, but he came in and he said something like, hey, yo, why don't we really push this whole hip hop goth thing? And
Mhm.
I was like, the first thing I did was, of course, I smacked my forehead and I was just like, oh, good God, Lord, no, don't do that. And so
But
I
you know
said,
what? There's something like that already exists. Horrorcore. like the hardcore, horror rappers like Brother Lich Hung and 3 6 Mafia, but that's a whole different thing. But even then, they don't call themselves ghetto goth. They already have their own genre.
Exactly. So what we're talking about right now is these classifications of what goth is, and what I call hybrid theory, because
Right.
what they're doing is they're mixing certain one thing with another and thinking that it's a thing. Okay,
Oh
I
no,
understand that
no.
there are certain classifications of goth. There's traditional, there's old school, there's death rock, there's new wave, there's rivet heads that are, subsets within the goth community. But the difference between being ghetto goth or urban or everything is that it's not based on race. And what you're doing when you're using these terms like ghetto goth and urban goth and all that stuff is you're delineating yourself from there. People are putting you into a box. And what that happens, especially with people of color, is when someone else sees another person who is black and goth, they're automatically going to assume that you're ghetto goth, just because that's what they see. Just like in California right now, Southern California, there's this whole Mexigoth movement. I don't know who started that.
I
I
never
don't.
even heard of it.
It's
Because
Mexigoth
I,
and
I
Cholo.
grew up in a barrio. I never heard of it. I never heard that term before.
And if that's your culture and that's what you are okay with, hey, all day, all night, you go right ahead. But what happens is that whenever someone sees you and they don't know anything about it and all they've heard of is that term, then they automatically start associating that with every person of color they come into contact with. So like there's a guy right now who's an artist. His name is Prayers, and he considers himself Cholo God. That's him. It's cool. You can do that. You can say that if you want to. He is a gangbanger, and he is goth. So that works for him, and that's his culture, and that's fine. He labeled himself that way. But what happened with us was Rihanna came out, and she went through her little dark and edgy phase, wearing
And you know how
chains.
long that lasted? That even lasts. That's not
Two
who she is.
seconds. No, that's not who she is. Her stylist decided to put her in that for a few weeks. To
Keywords, stylists. They get paid to do a look for the day.
exactly, and all of a sudden it became a trend. I don't even think I ever heard of her referring to herself in that
No,
term. No,
she's
I
not
don't
even
think she.
an alternative subculture unless it's for a specific look.
Hmm.
Like a lot of rappers, they went to East Village in New York City. They start observing the alternative people out there, and they came back and started dressing like it.
Hmm.
Even in DUI vests and jackets, they started buying them.
Hmm. And I feel like if you're part of that subculture, you need to be you. If she was part of the goth industrial movement and she decided that she wanted to be an R&B singer or anything like that, and that's just who she was and where it came from, fine, do
Yeah,
that. Just like I can't remember his name as a rapper who's a skateboarder, at heart. So when I see him in bands and I see him, doing ollie tricks and stuff like that, that's part of his
oh,
culture.
you're talking about Hobson. Hobson is a rapper, and I think he's a skater too. It's
Um,
Tyler, the creator.
No, and there's another one. He's got long dreads. Fuck, what is his name? He's real popular. He's got like 12 or 13 kids. What the fuck is that fool's name? He's not very attractive either. Oh, he was in the video with Carrie Hilson. Anyway, he's into that culture. When I see an African American person, you can tell the fakes, you can tell the phonies, because look at their t-shirts, look at the visual references that they have. We can tell our own. Mainstream media and culture cannot tell who is what, so they develop that and they start wearing it and they start doing it and emulating it, thinking that that's how we are and who we are, when that isn't the case.
Exactly. They like that's the problem.
So
Mainstream media likes to define what black people are, especially black women.
mhm,
Leave it up to mainstream media. Black women are loud, ghetto. They are single mothers. They're uneducated. They fight a lot. They want to be Cardi B. Not every black woman wants to be that. We all don't want to be on Love and Hip Hop. That is not all of our narratives here.
right, we don't all that's not all that we are trying to do with our life, and then we're still not sitting here saying that that's wrong. We're just saying that
If
we are
you
not that.
do that, that's you. good for you, but that's not something we're interested in, you
Mhm.
know.
And that's not something that we're trying to promote. So when we exclude hip hop and R&B type and mainstream type women, just sit there and clap for us. Clap for us for doing something that you are that is enhancing the spectrum of of our culture. It's in keeping people away from the stereotype of what African American women are supposed to be, because we are all
It's
we're doing.
expressing the artistic, quirky side, what people do not expect us to be. We're the ones that's pushing the darkness while these other type of women are made very popular. We need to make people understand not every black woman is the same. There are different types out here.
Gamer
They like
girls,
burlesque, they're pinups, they like um
gaming.
rock culture, punk culture, everything. Burning Man, everybody's out here, not just love and hip hop, urban neo soul types out here.
More woke individuals. I love that a lot of our neo soul and neo our woke sisters out there right now and are making a way for themselves and becoming more visible and more heard. That's great. I understand it. I agree with you on some levels, and I applaud you for the strides that you're taking. But it's time for us. And
Yes,
it's time for us to have our circles in which we can do that. It just is. It doesn't mean that that we don't value what you've done, or where you're coming from and how you're able to educate individuals. We do that stuff too. We do that in our own space, in our own circle, and we still have to fight it all the time. But just because we don't want to showcase you in this particular space doesn't mean we don't have love for you. It really doesn't.
exactly. We
Even though
support
you
you,
even though
but
you
we feel
disrespect
like you
us.
don't need our help. That's what it is. We support you, but you don't need our help in
No.
promotion. You have many resources that you could pull from. Versus the alternative model, we don't have so many resources where we can pull from because we're gonna get ridiculed from our own
Mhm.
sometimes. Then we got to fight against our our own subculture because we're not Caucasian. So this is why we need a space for our own subcultures to showcase women who are just like us.
We have
We
to
don't
fight
need
in
to be
everything.
inclusive on everything.
Yep. We have to fight on everything, though. We have to fight on every level. We have to fight our own subculture. Thankfully, we don't have to do that much because we wouldn't be around it if we did. We have to fight mainstream. We have to fight our own people who don't understand, who don't, whose, ideals and their viewpoints are steeped in religion. And so, wearing a cross or wearing an ankh or wearing a Star of David or something or wearing Wiccan jewelry, automatically you're different and you're considered a devil worshiper or something like that, or something is wrong with you because of that, or you're white, you're acting white, or you're taking part of white subculture. Y'all don't even know, even taking the time to even understand where our subculture is from. If you did, you would realize the same thing that we're trying to tell white people is what you guys need to be educated about too, about how punk music started, how our movements became the way that they are, and where we came from. And just because we are this way doesn't mean that we don't have faith. We may not have faith in Christianity. Not, I mean, a lot of us don't have faith in, not, I'm sorry, I'm generalizing. There are a lot of black people that are alternative that are still into Christianity and still religious individuals,
Right.
and that's great. I have a girlfriend right now. She's like my little sister. She is so religious and she is so about Jesus and everything, but she looks like an alien. And people give her crap all the time. They automatically judge her, and especially our own, and they automatically assume that she's just, an evil person, or she could be, until she starts talking and making them feel at ease. You made a snap judgment about her. So we have to fight all the time, and we have to fight for representation. We have to fight for acceptance. We have to fight for self-esteem, and we have to fight not to even be assaulted against because of who we are. So forgive us if we go angry black women on you every now and again, because we take it on every end. We're London bridging the whole thing all the fucking time. All our holes are filled with discrimination at every turn. So forgive us.
And people don't understand is, like I said in the last episode, there's a lot of black alternative girls who have built platforms for
Mhm.
other brands, especially scene kids who are now making millions of dollars. And where are these girls out now? They can't even get $1 or a mention. We're trying not to have that happen ever again.
It's
We're
also because
always creating things for other people while we get left in the dark. Nobody's going to use this as a stepping stone anymore. That's for
no,
damn sure.
and it's a lot of that is also because these girls don't know what to do with themselves. They don't know how to market themselves. You know, they don't have anybody telling them or pushing them in the right direction or giving
Right.
them
And they get
education.
the ideas stolen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's
and
happened a lot. A
yeah.
lot of the models that you see now that are popular, that are alternative, a lot of their image has been stolen from someone else. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying all of them, but there's a good number of them. You recognize that, wait a minute, she looks like this person. You go look at the Wayback Machine and look at some people's MySpace, you're like, oh wow, she copied from her. I'm like, well yeah, but no one knows.
Yeah, or women that they've used to help them better themselves. Okay, so we were talking about my friend Marie, our mutual friend Marie from MySpace days, and she's still around. She knew people like Jeffree Star and all those other dudes when they, all these other girls and chicks when they were coming up on MySpace, and now they're, you know, millionaires and doing all this stuff and launching all these different products and stuff, and not one of them talks to her to this day. They act like they don't know her. You know, this bitch is fierce. Y'all are
Right.
sleeping on
And
a.
she was known as Siren Phoenix
Mm-hmm.
on Model Mayhem. She was very, very big on MySpace. She had a very huge following. Everybody knew who
Mm-hmm.
she was. And I wondered what was happening to her through the years. And then she came back as Monday Madness. I'm like, wow. But I seen people around her get all
Come
these
up.
grants, and not one of them have reached out to her. I'm like, that's
Yep.
so fucked up. But
And
they
it's
probably asked her for something.
her dread falls and makeup tips and just her general presence was enough to rub off on somebody. I know that fucking Jeffree Star was not sitting there talking about bitches and all this other stuff and broke ass bitches and all that. No, he wasn't talking like that about women and people in general, because I'm sure that there was no one around him that was like that. Marie, she's like that. You know, they a lot of people just emulate the characteristics of a black person, or I'm sorry, of black women. They emulate the characteristics and the mannerisms and stuff like that. But God forbid someone say that you're acting like that, or that or that you are that. They want to be everything else and have everything else that we have except for our experience and being us.
Right. And I never liked Jeffree Star because I remember back on MySpace, he was always saying some problematic shit. But a lot of black kids, black teen kids, were making excuses for him
Mm-hmm.
because they want to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
They will tap dance for anybody just for some fucking a pat on the head. See, I'm not gonna do that.
Or to
That's
be
why I don't
different.
like a lot of the teen kids, because they enable a lot of this shit. They supported a lot of the people who are problematic, and that's why he was still on top, because he had a lot of supporters. Jeffree Star's fans also emulated his behavior just to
Mm-hmm.
be edgy. They were calling themselves, well, I'm trying to be edgy, I'm gonna act racist, I'm gonna act stupid.
All you're
No,
trying to
that kind
do
of
is
behavior will get your ass whooped on the streets.
all you're trying to do is alienate yourself and push yourself farther away from where you come from.
Right.
And that's a form of self-hate. And I understand it. I went through it for a certain amount of time. I didn't want to be associated with anything hip hop or anything stereotypically black. To this day, I still have issues with being associated with things that are stereotypically black, because I know that they come with a negative connotation. And I'm not going out of my way to quelch those stereotypes, because as I get older, I don't give a fuck about a lot of shit and your feelings and all that. And so it's just a natural progression. But when you're first starting out in the scene of people who don't really accept you, it's kind of difficult, because the experiences that they've had with black people have been this, that, and the other. So they want to
Understand.
set themselves apart from that, and they want to set them and they want to be seen as different, and they want to be seen as, something that's not necessarily stereotypically black. So a lot of it gets a lot of it gets muddled and a lot of it gets to be to the point where they don't even realize that they have that amount of hatred within their body. What's going on, what they need to do is just accept it. You are who you are. And there are things that are going to resonate with people, and then there are things that are not. And what your job is to do is to just be you. You don't need
Just
to
to be yourself.
downgrade. Yeah, you don't need to downgrade the race of people that you come from in order to be accepted in a society.
And what I did not like about what Black teen kids were doing, they had a lot of issues within themselves, and they started to act like the very person that was oppressing other people. I'm like, what are you doing? You see a lot of tutorials on YouTube from back in the day. They're old. How to bleach your hair to look like Kiki ass cannibal, who is not even seen anymore.
I
That's
had to
why it's
look that
important
up.
to be yourself. Be
And
yourself.
that's why it's important to have representation of people that are like you, doing things that you can actually do. Let's take makeup companies, for example, and let's use Jeffree Star because we're talking about him already. When these people come out with makeup products for the public, what they're doing is they're cultivating and they're making these formulas for people that are not of color.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the highlighters and stuff that he uses for skin does not work with African American women, does not work with our skin tones. These people don't care about that. So the problem comes in with not having the representation within those genres and those things. So your alternative, you know that Jeffree Star has cosmetics that work for alternative subculture. You know that Pretty Zombie has some amazing purple lipstick that you want, purple and green lipstick that you want to wear. But what they're doing is they're not showcasing what it would look like on your skin so that you know what you're
Right.
getting into.
If I don't see it on someone that looks like me, I'm not
Mhm.
gonna buy it. I'm not
and
buying it, and that's what they don't understand. We matter.
mhm.
Black women always consume a lot of beauty products. We're the highest spenders in this market, but
Friend,
yet we don't have enough people representing us. This is why it's important we get out there.
Mhm.
We control more than what you think. We have the power of our money is very strong.
Mhm. It
And if
can
we
be.
stop supporting these businesses who exclude us, they won't be able to make any money off us.
Yeah, but then there'll be that narrative about how we're just angry. But also the
Exactly.
problem comes into it where you guys need to understand that a lot of people are going to tell you that you look good in something because they don't have a better reference to it. So yeah, you're going ahead and you're buying that highlighter from Jeffree Star, and then your
But
white
when you go
girlfriend is
home and
telling
put
you,
it on, it looks a mess. It does not
mhm,
match.
and your
And
white girlfriend is telling you that you look great.
but she don't know. She don't
Ex-
know. She don't know your skin tone. And
exactly.
I want to comment about the angry Black women. A lot of people say, "Well, how come you don't start your own business?" Well, why don't you go out here and start donating and helping your sisters out instead of just talking and downing women? Because that's what I see a lot of men doing. Well, instead of complaining, start your own business. Why don't you help these women? Why don't you start up a GoFundMe or donate to these women's PayPal so they can start their own makeup lines too? Because a lot of people love talking shit about what Black women complain about, but won't help them.
Hmm. No, black women won't even help each other.
Yes, that is true.
So
It's,
how
it's
are
so
y'all gonna
it's
help me?
competitive, the sisterhood. But many Black women will pull together enough money for a man in prison to get a modeling contract, but yet we cannot help Black alternative models.
That's not me. I don't even want. No, that is an entire. I can't do that tonight. I I cannot.
Was mad
No,
as hell. What is his name? Jeremy Meeks.
I don't
I
know
was
what the fuck his
damn
name
mad.
is, but all I fucking care about is this is one of the reasons why I don't stand behind Black Lives Matter a lot, because you will have a black man who has been assaulted, and I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not at all. I'm saying we need to support our black men too. But what I'm saying is it is significantly different with the support that black men get to the support that black women get. Significantly different.
Black women are put to the front lines of the war for every
Or
cause.
collateral
You know what?
damage.
If you notice this, every other race of women, whether it be Asian, white, who they get on the phone and call for the, hey, a Black woman. Well, can you come help us protest? But what about an issue? Well, let's just focus on this issue right now, and we'll get to yours later. And what happens? The Black woman's issue will be never acknowledged. Stop
Never.
letting people piggyback off you. That's the problem with Black women make. We're always letting people use us to further their own
That's what we were
causes,
fucking
to
bred
build their
for.
brands, while we get left in the fucking dark.
We were bred for this shit though, and that's the problem.
Stop being a mammy, a handmaiden, people's nurses.
I can't. I can't. I hear what you're
I
saying,
don't mean mammy
but I
as
can't.
in something from Gone with the Wind. I'm pretty sure people have seen the term mammy on Facebook. It's a new, it's in a new sense
It's
now.
a woke term.
The pick me, the mammy, the mule, the handmaiden.
Stop it. I can't. I can't. I just can't. I'm tired of being somebody's you can't come to me with that. If you're not helping Black women as much as you're helping Black men, I don't want to fucking hear you. I don't. I don't. I don't want to hear
Right.
you because
And I
we are
just
always
posted
there
something
for
on
them.
my Facebook where Dr. Umar Johnson was able to raise all this money for his school, but I wasn't able to get a $1 donation when I wanted to open a bookstore.
I'm gonna tell you right now, this is probably the reason why when it comes to interracial relationships, white men and Black women are the most successful out of all of it. Because white men feel like they are underappreciated with white women, and they are, because you have some that are really going above and beyond and doing what they need to do in order to make the family work. And the white women are so privileged and over, and just like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to be. This is what's supposed to happen for me because this is how I've always been treated. Whereas Black women who have always had people riding on their backs appreciate people like that, appreciate men like that. So that is why the relationships between Black women and white men are on the rise. And if you have a problem with that, and you have a problem with us dating outside of our race, and you have a problem with us going towards that, maybe you need to start looking at the way you're treating us. Y'all don't want us. You made it perfectly clear that you don't. So when that happens,
that's another thing too that I can speak upon. You cannot complain about what Black women are evil, this and that. It's like, what are you doing? Because I know a lot of guys who will hide behind the nice guy image, and in reality, they're not so nice. So maybe if you cannot meet a quality woman, maybe there's something that you're doing. You need to work on yourself before you offer yourself to another woman, because there's somebody out here for everyone. Sometimes you don't need to be in a relationship if you don't need to be with someone. You need to go get some therapy, work on yourself. And that's what
Black people in therapy, you're crazy.
I know, but it needs to be preached. And like I wrote on the colorism issue, there's a lot of women, who don't need pages and groups to validate them. They need therapy. Colorism has affected people mentally. So that's what I'm saying. You don't need a Facebook page to validate your self-esteem. You need to talk to somebody offline. Self-care.
And you need to be okay with the fact that you're going to talk to somebody offline, because you are going to have people in the Black community that are going to call you crazy. My dad called me crazy. He called me crazy. He said he was scared of me and all that stuff because he didn't understand what therapy can do for you. Just talking it out. If you're not going to go see a fucking therapist, join a support group
or light. It's best to go to therapy. You don't need to be making posts on light skin, dark skin privilege, because that sounds fucking crazy. Because most of the time when you hear about colorism problems, it's because of how a man treated them. I understand there's colorism in media and stuff, but on a personal experience,
we do that to ourselves.
Has treated you bad and told you that you were ugly because you're dark skinned and it affected you, that you need therapy. You need to talk to somebody offline. You don't need to reach out to Facebook. You don't need to reach out to a page. You don't need to drag other women who are lighter than you. This goes vice versa. Yep. You need to talk to somebody offline.
You need to really evaluate, self-evaluate
to the point. Who you're hanging around with. If you have friends who enable what you're doing, they're not really your friends. If they're not telling you that you need to get some help, they're not your real friends. You need to find some other set of friends. It's okay to break relationships off or friendships. You don't have to stay with the same people.
And you'll get to know, and we're trying to help you guys get to that point before you get to our age. Hopefully some of you will take our advice, and some of you are just gonna be like, whatever. I put the poll out on Black and African American Goths about how they feel about the terms ghetto goth and and all that. And some of them I was surprised. A lot of them were like, no, not
We
about
don't
that.
need it because it'll create more problems than what it's worth.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't want nobody call me a ghetto goth. I get fucking mad.
Yeah,
Just call
because
me goth. Just
yeah,
call me me because you cannot put me in a box with somebody else.
why do you need to have? Why does it need a qualifier? Why does it have to have this
Why does
descriptive
it have to
word?
have a hip hop urban feel to it?
Hmm.
Why?
And there's nothing wrong with liking hip hop music and
Right? I
liking
like rap.
culture. I do too. I
I
love
like
conscious
rap
hip
as
hop.
hell. But you know what? But I still like alternative music.
Hmm.
But I don't call myself a hood goth. But then again, I do listen to Easy and other shit. But I'm not gonna sit there and put myself in that category to talk and call it ghetto goth because I
Hmm.
don't like it. It
Because
doesn't
all
resonate with
that
me.
and all that does is put the license in somebody else's mouth to stereotype you and to
Right.
treat you as less than and to exclude you from the circles of whatever it is that you're going to. It's to exclude you from being a goth. That's not legitimate. She likes hip hop too. She considers herself a hip hop goth, or she considers herself a ghetto goth. There are a lot of white people from the ghetto, you know, and I don't see them wearing that moniker. It's
Sure in the fuck
always
don't.
it's always based on race. This whole Mexigoth thing too. It's always based on race. But there are also so many different other subcultures and hybrid theories when it comes to goth that actually works, like rockabilly. I mean, like gothabilly. That's like a
Yeah, I
combination.
like that. I like
You know,
rockabilly. Actually, I really like it.
and that's based on music. It's
It's
not
based
based
on
on
music and
culture.
it's based on another genre, horror too.
Mhm.
It's based on a dark version. It's not like it's rockabilly. It's kind of different. It's more gothic than ever, but it's also classic, which I do like.
Hmm. And
I do
there's
like it.
there are certain classifications that will work when it comes to it, but when you're using a descriptor, and especially something that's based on race, that's where the issue gets muddled. That's where we start having
Right.
problems.
That's when it takes away from the idea and it creates more problems. That's why we don't need this term. We're not trying to exclude hip hop people, but they have enough following, they have enough resources. Do you see BET promoting alternative black?
No, good
Hell
lord,
no.
their Sunday morning ratings would go,
VH1, do you see
man.
these black outlets
Nope.
promoting African American alternative the scene? Do you see them promoting us? So why do we have to be inclusive and give up what we're doing so they can have a following? No, they don't need it.
And if we want to go mainstream, we're going to get there on our own terms. We're not going to get there because someone watered us down and blended us with something else.
This is
And
not cosplay.
no, a
This
lot of
is what
people
people
just
need to understand. Punk, goth, rockabilly is not cosplay. It has nothing to do with that at all.
here I am going to have to disagree with you again right now, because a lot of people, that's all they know of us is just the style of dress. They don't understand that for those of us that are lifers, it's
Mm-hmm.
about the music first. It's about the music first, and then it's about the culture and the lifestyle.
Right,
And what comes with the music is the style. It's not just about, okay, I decided this looks good on me today, and this is a
right.
little edgy and a little different. No, when it comes to things like ghetto goth and all that stuff, that's all about fashion. There's no music involved in that.
Right, and that's why I said this is not cosplay because
Yeah.
when you go to those conventions, they're playing dress up. It's not focused on any music. If it is, it's from a video game or a soundtrack. We're not basing anything off a single soundtrack. It's based off of beats, many
Excuse me.
artists. It's not just music, it's poetry,
Hmm.
it's lifestyle. And so this is not something I hang up in the closet and bring out once a year.
You are who you are, and when you're a lifer, you're always going to be able to tell others that are
I
like
grew up
you.
out of it, and here I am. I'm out of my 20s, and I'm still the same way. I have on the Misfits beanie. I have a cold, and look what I have on right now. I am still alternative, and people do respect me. I
Hmm.
get respect from all people. People like, how do you work? You have so many tattoos. I'm a chef, and I'm going to school for nursing. I have not had any trouble finding employment, being who I am.
You're
So that's another
authentic.
stereotype.
And I
It's
work in I work in industries. I work in the fashion industry, and I work in the entertainment. and stuff like that, where okay, yeah, it's cool to be, different and all that, but as time goes on, I'm not as I'm going to say flamboyant as I used
As
to
you
be.
used to be.
I'm not trying to make everybody look at me because I already know who I am.
You already know
But
who you are. It's not
exactly.
like you're in high school. You have that time. It's like when you get a certain age, you have bills to pay.
Hmm.
Like she has children. She has to feed her family. So, I mean, she has to do what she has to do. And that's what, people need to understand as you grow older, the circumstances changes. When I go on the weekends, oh yeah, I'm gonna get fanboy. I'm gonna wear all this stuff. But on the weekday, you wouldn't know who I was because I'm at work. I'm
Hmm.
going to work. I'm wearing scrubs. I'm wearing a chef uniform.
But
So you
even
wouldn't really know.
Yeah, even in those professional environments, though, you can still pick out your own because there's
Oh yes.
always that little bit of a thing that you will do in order to keep your personal style at bay. I see there are plenty. I mean, one of my friends just graduated to be a nurse. Another one of my girlfriends is in PR. She's one of the biggest names in PR right now, and I can still tell, even in her in her work clothes, that she has that goth edge because she's grown up in that. That's who she is. So she's always finding these little elements somewhere. She'll have like a spider ring or something like that that's
Or the
different.
scrubs, anything. We
Yeah.
always have something on us
Hmm. That
to
that
help us
delineates.
stand out.
Hmm.
That's who we are. But people understand. Oh, it's a phase. It's not a phase. It's just that when you get in the workforce, you have to pay your bills. Unless you have a business of your own, then yeah, you can do whatever the fuck you want. But if you're working for someone else, you got to abide by their dress code.
Hmm.
This is why there's something called corporate golf. I
Yep.
am corporate too. I know how to dress. It's
Hmm.
still they're like, oh, we look nice, but at the
Yep.
same time, I'm
You
still
still
looking
keep your
scrub.
elements.
Yes.
Hmm. You still, I mean, even in those workforces where you're wearing all black every day, you
Right.
see everyone's wearing the same thing in the same color and stuff, but you can still
Mix
tell
it up.
your own.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are who you say you are, I mean, for some people it is a phase. For some people they dabble in it, and I don't have any problem with that.
Right.
I have visited every subculture there has to be visited. My second home is festival culture, but I still have my goth elements even when I'm in festival culture. When I go to, events like Envision or Lucidity and stuff like that, that are serious burner events stuff too. I'm considered a dark wing because they know I'm not going to be all like kaleidoscope colors and all that stuff. No, I'm in black. And when I go to Wasteland, same thing. I have my post-apocalyptic garb, but at the core of me, I am a goth woman. I am a goth industrial woman, and you
Right.
will
And I
always be able to
completely
find me.
understand where you're coming from because in the 90s rape scene, I wore Rainbow Bright, a lot of things, and I still have my candy up to this day. I still have that's very same candy I had in the 90s, and I still go to EDM events too.
Mhm.
But you can tell who I am.
Exactly.
But
Graver for days.
it Raven for days, and you know what? Even that scene has changed. It's more commercial.
Hmm.
It's not about player anymore.
Everything changes though, and
Everything
and
changes.
and and that's okay. Everything
That's what
changes,
it really is.
everything evolves, and either you hang on to it and you do you, or you change with the times. And
Mm-hmm.
neither one of those is necessarily a bad thing, but you are always going to be, you're always going to fit into whatever you're going to fit into.
And you're always going to remember the years that you participated in, and the years that you participated in. People wish they were there for.
Yes,
I meet a lot of younger kids. Wow, you went to these events. Now
that
they
was
don't
back in the
exist anymore.
day. That was a
Yeah,
really good time when
it
together
was
is
good times.
one
The
and
90s was the best time to be alternative. Besides the
massives.
80s. Besides the 80s.
Man, I don't even like I'm not even gonna. I don't even like the 80s. I think the 90s were better. I really do. Now, I mean, as far as music and style and activities that were going on, especially the goth subculture, the 90s were the shit.
It was
You just
pop in. Even the
95 to
rave scene.
2002, the shit.
You
Control
had
Factory
every event every single weekend. You had
every
something else.
day.
Yeah, every day, backyard shows, or you had a rave going on after school.
Every day there was something going on. I think the only day that there was nothing going on was either Tuesdays or no, Tuesdays. I think that was the only thing. And I think the 90s, like 97 to 2002, I was going out every night. The only, 2 nights a week, the only nights I didn't go out, Tuesday and Saturday. That was it. Because, you know, we had Perversion, we had Control Factory, we had fucking Bang Club, we had all sorts of shit going on. I was a club kid to the umpteenth degree, and that's how I built my network. And those were really
And
good.
those were the times. Those were the times. And I remember I was getting my events from the SoCal Raves newsletter. There was a newsletter that was floating around of all the events. There was Club Circus that also had their little rave club. I think it was on Saturdays. Now that club has shut down, which I really wish it wouldn't have, but it was
Dude, did
fun.
you ever go to Red?
Yes.
Oh my God. Red
It
was a
was so
shit.
it was so fun. Now they don't have these venues anymore because a lot of people have ruined the venues,
With
and a lot
drugs.
of things got sold too. Then again, there's people who have sold their venues, but there's a lot of events that got ruined because of irresponsible newcomers.
Because they're the kids are, and I mean, and we probably rebelled in our age too, and you know, the ones that now, especially millennials, are just like, oh well, you know, we're going to do this the way we want to do this. This is the problem I have with my group too. I'm going to do goth the way that I want to do goth. Fine, do it. Do it the way you want to do it, but don't be surprised
If
when I'm
that,
not backing your ass up.
yes,
Don't be surprised when you're discriminated against. Don't be surprised when you have to keep proving yourself to be who you are.
like what
When
was it? That soft grunge shit and pastel goth. See, you when that shit first came out, I was like, okay, what is a pastel goth? And I looked at them like, oh, that's kind of something from,
anime,
Japanese kawaii inspired. I'm like, that's not for me. I like kindergarten. I don't know if the younger people are familiar with what that
nope,
is.
that's 90s.
That's my era. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's our era of. I still like it, but I think pastel goth for me is too. I'm too old for it.
I can't.
It doesn't resonate with me at all. I might have
Yeah,
pink hair.
we're in our get off our lawn phase right now. We're like, just take your little Lolita goth shit and get the fuck off my lawn. That's
Yeah,
where I am.
I
I respect.
goth. Yes, I love it, but Lolita goth. On some girls it looks good, but on some girls it does not look too good. I don't like the wigs on some of the black girls. I just think the wigs need to be fixed more.
Because they don't know what to do. They're just
I
emulating what they've
understand.
seen,
I
and
understand.
there are some girls who can pull it off, but those are women who are interested in beauty, and
Right.
those are and makeup and stuff like that, and who know who they are and know what works for them. Not every person can wear an orange wig or a yellow wig and contact lenses and be black and be like, oh, this is cute,
I like
no,
it.
it doesn't work for everybody, and you need to know what works for you. And once you
And
know
what
what works for
shade of
you,
anybody can wear a different shade. For example, there are some shades of pink I cannot wear against my skin tone because it'll make me look very odd on camera. And that's what these women need to understand. Everything does not go with your shape of your face. Everyone has a unique shape. So you need to understand that. That's what women need to understand when they go into modeling, especially cosplaying, especially wearing these different types of wigs. So you won't be looking out here looking like a damn fool.
making us look bad because they are always going to compare it to all of us. We are not
The
we are not
Kiki
autonomous.
the seam haircut that went like this. Then you
I
had the
like that.
cones.
That was cute though. Some of it was cute.
Yeah, but some of them were cute, but some of them it looked fried. I'm like, oh Lord,
That's just because they don't know themselves. So I mean,
I'll
this
buy
is
a
the,
wig that look like that, but I'm
this
not
is the
doing my hair
thing.
like
Everyone needs to learn the rules of style, makeup, and color theory and all that stuff. Once you learn all that shit, then you can break it. Once
learn
you learn it,
yourself first. Learn what works with you first.
and then go anarchy. Because then what happens is you're going to know the basics, you're going to know the fundamentals. And once you know the fundamentals and you're able to do that, then you're able to take chances and to take risks, things like that. That's how I learned. I didn't have anybody teaching me what to wear or how to do it. I've had some serious faux pas in my lifetime and stuff when it comes to style. But after a while, I started doing things like watching YouTube and finding out the basics,
Same here. And I
learning.
took a makeup class. I took esthetician class too. I took it for personal, not because I wanted to be. I said, okay, let me learn some more things. This is back in the MySpace days where IQ Glamour was popular and Queen of Blending was just now coming up.
Ooh, that girl.
Queen of Blending,
Ugh.
I tried talking to her. She didn't really answer my comments or nothing. I
No,
just
she's like Jeffree Star. They all went to Donna Mee school and thought they were the shit afterwards. And I can't support that. And she's still doing the same shit. And that's another thing we didn't talk about last time. We need to touch on that real quick because we're already an hour and a half into this shit. Model like women of color who are doing it wrong or that are stagnant and haven't changed their look. They don't evolve. They don't get better with age. They look the same. They don't use the resources that they have to better themselves. So they're still in the same fucking positions that they've been in forever. And then they're snobby because they feel like they have a lot of followers and, everyone is worshiping them. But no, bitch, everyone is worshiping you from afar. You don't have any friends. You don't have a following of people who are genuinely interested in you. You have a fan base of people who've gotten so used to what you are that they don't expect anything else. You're still not having any engagement. And that was another thing when we talked about when we first got started. There are some women of color that are alternative that will never be allowed into the collective. And Black Silk is one of those women. I'm going to put her on blast right now. I have an issue with her because she is not supportive of other African American women. She's not supportive of anybody but herself. And for someone who is only supportive of themselves, she sure hasn't done a lot of shit in the 11 to 10 years, what is it, 2002 that she's been around. She still hasn't done anything for herself that is really significant. She hasn't reached the status of some plus size models like Tess Holiday has. They've taken what they have and they've evolved from it. She's still doing the same vampire bullshit that she was doing from God knows when. She's still doing those little shoots with contacts in her eyes. She just does not change or evolve. She's not. And I'm really sad that that's all that a lot of women of color have to look up to their alternative. It's saddening. It really is.
Because I can't really speak on Black Silk because I'm not really familiar with her whole modeling career. But there's I do like a lot of her things. Like I said, I can't really speak on her because I don't know her like that. But she is one of the well-known Black alternative models out here. A lot of people know who Black Silk is.
Yeah, because that's your first introduction to it. If that's your first introduction to it and you're 17, you're 14 to 16, and this is all of a sudden something that you're realizing you're into, yeah, I'm going to go and I'm going to find the most popular Black alternative model out there right now. And I'm going to be like, oh my God, she's fabulous. And I'm going to follow her for a long time. And then if I don't change my style or I don't evolve, then I'm going to continue to follow her. And then the ones that do evolve and change and go to like the I'm not going to get started on the cyber goth route, but they go cyber goth or they go steampunk. She is no longer relevant to them because
right. When I first, really started being active on social media because, being alternative, I done most of my things offline. Mm-hmm. When MySpace first started happening, I discovered Siren Phoenix and Tamara IQ Glamour. Mm-hmm. See, those are the first ladies I have discovered. Mm-hmm. And they've been around, and people still know who they are.
And they always will. The name is always going to be synonymous.
Especially Tamara. She may not be active online much anymore, but people will always know who she is. Mm-hmm. And she evolved. Each of her photos, she's flawless. Mm-hmm. Makeup is awesome.
And I'm not going to say that they're not paramount or that they're not important. And I'm not going to say that Black Silk is not important to our movement, mm-hmm. because she does bring awareness to the fact that there are alternative subculture women in modeling. But what I'm saying, my problem is when one trick pony. That's my problem. Don't be a one trick pony, especially when you have women that are looking up to you. I want to be able to watch someone's career progress over time and do something different. This girl could have done so much and she hasn't. I don't know if it's just because she doesn't have a head for business or if she's just okay with the fact that people just like her and she just likes the attention. Maybe that's all it is for her. Maybe that's all she needs. Me personally, I can't do that. I need to be able to grow. I need to be able to change. I need to be able to evolve. And I need for people to see that progression as time goes on. When I first started doing any kind of modeling whatsoever, I was doing a lot of ribbon hedge stuff, like big poofy braids that were like big, massive, and my big ass boots and all that stuff. That's what I was doing. But over time, my style's changed. I've become a more well-rounded individual. Maybe she's just not like that. And I guess that's okay. But I have a chip on my shoulder because I feel like that's all that she's about. She's only about her. She's not really about showcasing other women. She showcases other African American. On go. She's only she only does what it rubs me the wrong way is because I feel like she only does it to better herself. She only showcases other women of color because it makes her look good. She'll have these pages of black models and stuff like that are alternative, but it's always the majority of it is always her. So that's the thing that I feel like. I mean, if you're gonna ride on the backs of other black women just to boost yourself, I don't have respect for that. I just don't. I mean, she came into the Black Goth community, and instead of being, you see it, that it's a discussion group, and we have things going on, and we have conversations and stuff like that. But when you come in once or twice a week, and you're only posting pictures of yourself and not contributing to any other conversation, that just means you're just using us as a vehicle to promote yourself. And since you don't know her, and you don't have the history of her like that I do, I'll leave it at that because
right.
she and I can debate
I
on
do
that later.
follow her because I try to support all alternative models. Even though I'm an upcoming model, I still follow other black models because I'm not going to say, oh, I don't see them as competition, because
Exactly.
I figure there is enough opportunities for all of us women. We might end up on a shoot together one day. You never know.
Right. And you know what? Let me just put this out there right now. If any of you guys are listening and I want to talk to her. I want to talk to her live. I want to talk to her on our show. I want to talk to her face to face, like we're doing right now, and have a conversation and find out who she really is. Maybe I'm just biased because of our history in the past. Maybe that's it. And I'm perfectly okay with admitting that. If she can change my mind about who she is, and I will listen to her, and we can go at it and have one-on-one conversation about how I perceive her and what my experience is with her. Maybe she's changed. Who knows? Maybe we do need to support her. Maybe we do need to have her in this network, as someone who has paved the way for a lot of the alternative black women to be in recognized within our subculture. Who knows? I'm open to it. I want, if you end up watching this in some way, shape, or form, I would like to talk to you because, I don't want to continue to have that kind of, vitriol for a woman of color. So you gotta go. I'm sorry. We've been talking for so long. We should probably cut it. You want to cut it?
Oh, yeah, sure. Because
Okay.
we can always edit that part out. He had left.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's real life. I was talking to my daughter a second ago. We're mothers and lovers. What do we do? It's our life. So, and we've been ranting and raving for the last hour and 45 minutes. So.
Yes, and another thing I want to point out, like I said, if you feel like you want to become an alternative model, you want help and resources, you can always come to me. Mm-hmm. If you live in LA, you want to do a collaboration, you can please contact us. I have an email on my Instagram at Lovely Bruja. It's posted there. You can always reach out to me. Mm-hmm. If you know photographers, artists, nail artists, hair artists, even anyone that would love to work in network so we can help bring others on, mm-hmm. contact us. Because we're doing something positive out here. We're not begging for money or anything out here, but if you'd like to make any donation, we will gladly put that to good use.
Right. And
we're not asking for donations, but if you feel like you want to, that's fine.
Y'all can send them to her because she will make use of that too. And just so you guys know who I am, I run my own magazine. It's digital. It's called Symbols. And all the editorials that I shoot, most of them, and especially from this point on, will be nothing but African American women, women of color. That is my main goal. I've worked with some of the top makeup artists and hairstylists and fashion photographers of that are published in Italian Vogue and things like that. So I know a thing or two about styling and conceptualizing, and I'm getting ready to work on a new series right now, um, based on African American women recreating a lot of looks that a lot of people don't think that we're going to be able to recreate. So you can stay tuned for that. And if you're looking for a platform to showcase your talents, if you are a new model and you want to get some exposure and things like that, let us set up a shoot for you. I have people that are willing to
Really
do that
let
on a
us
dime.
know. And I'm really thinking about creating a new social networking for alternative people, because the only one that is left is gone gothic and vampire freaks, and they're not really active. And
Mhm.
so I really want a brand new unbiased network where there are some mature people and a lot of things will not be tolerated, and the space for everyone is welcome.
Mhm. So we'll put up some links on our page. If you go to Facebook, it's the Black Alt Cult. You can look for either one of us. I'm Lasha Lane. I'm sure you've seen our names at the bottom of the screen all night. So contact us on Facebook if that's your first line of defense. If you're on Instagram, my handles on Instagram are symbols_magazine and the Black Alternative. And this is the lovely Bruja. Thank you so much for sitting here and listening to us like rant and rave for the last hour and a half and well, almost 2 hours. Um, we're just getting used to this. So we want to hear from you. We want to hear your comments. We want to hear questions. We want to hear your bullshit. Um, we want to know who our friends are. We want to know who our frenemies are. Um, and so thank you for joining us and just dealing with us. And we hope that we've touched a nerve or helped you realize some things that you didn't know needed to be realized. So we want to share and we care and we want to hear from you. So reach out to us.
Right.
So we're going to sign off and we will upload and raw and unfiltered.
Yep.
And raw and unfiltered.
But it is what it
It
is.
is what it is. So I hope you guys enjoyed it and we will talk to you guys soon. Thank you. And we kind of love you. Bye bye.